Stoir writes, I have some beautiful photos in black and white that I would love to scrapbook. I love using bright colours, but I'm worried they will take away the attention from the black and white photos. Any suggestions? Glitter Girl, can you help Stoir keep it courageous with colour?
Of course I can. I agree with many of the posters who answered this question on the message board, and that the glory of black and white photos is that you can choose absolutely any color scheme you want to work with. I think it's a great way to work with colors in a way that tell a story or illustrate someone's personality rather than just having to feel like you need to coordinate with things that are in the picture. Now, definitely black and white is a big design trend right now. So I have a black and white photo that I'm going to use for today's layout. And I pulled out all these different products that are really current and all inspired by the chalkboard idea. So they're all in some way taking on the look of a chalkboard with white drawings in chalk. And from this, you get so many different possibilities. There's lots of lines here, including Chalk Studio from My Mind's Eye, Chalkboard from We Are Memory Keepers, and some from Cut and Paste by My Mind's Eye as well. This one from Glitz. And the thing is, if I were to use just the black and white papers, so not even having to pick, but just spreading them all out so that you could see what would go together if I put just black and white paper together, and then I put the black and white photo amongst all that, it's very difficult to tell the difference between the photo and the page elements because everything is the same saturation, everything is the same color, everything is black and white. So I think it's best to go with some contrast, and you really truly can use any color scheme you would like. If you are lacking in inspiration from your color scheme, you could still take a note from the different chalkboard collections, because not only are there just the black and white designs, there are also the designs that add a little color. So this color scheme comes from the We Are Memory Keepers collection, and here they've used the chalkboard print in the background, but the floral on top. So I could use lavender, peach, and mint. Or from My Mind's Eye Cut and Paste, there's lots of black and white accents, but then there's also some colors that are definitely going to appear elsewhere in my collection because there's lots of pink, there's lots of turquoise, also a little bit of green and not green, yellow and aqua. So definitely ways that you can find a color scheme in the product line if that's a little bit easier for you. But one thing I would do is have a look at your picture and see if there's any color that comes to mind with that particular story. It doesn't necessarily have to be a color that was present there, because the color is taken away from the photo. It doesn't need to be the color the person was wearing or the color of the scenery behind them. But say you have a photo of someone whose personality is really boisterous, then I would use bright colors for that page and not be tempted to work in pastels if their personality seems to suit bright, happy colors instead. Likewise, if it's somebody that suits pastel colors, don't feel that you have to bring in high contrast neon just to go on trend and work with the black plus neon combination. You can use absolutely any combination you like. I'm going to take you through my layout using some products from My Mind's Eye Cut and Paste along with some of this black and white, and I've actually pulled in another black and white, but it's not a chalkboard print, it's the reverse. So I have the black glasses on white, and then some pink and turquoise, of course, and a light and a richer pink, some Bella Boulevard arrows, and I'll see what else I need as we go along. I want to keep the colors nice and bright and high contrast, so I'm going to use the pink polka dot as my background and then throw in more saturated elements of color in the embellishment. But I also like the idea of framing everything with a little bit of a darker shade to bring it all together. And in fact, you can see that the photo has, well, if you can see it on part of the photo has a dark frame around the edge as well that was put in when it was taken on a phone. So I think that the background can do something similar, and I'm going to use a black and white chevron, that's from Pebbles, as the very background layer. But what I'd like to do is, instead of just placing this on top of that, is to add a little bit of that more saturated color to the edge. So I'm going to use some hot pink mist and a paintbrush to just add some color to the edge, and you can use anything to do a bit of color to the edges. You can use gelatos, you can use an ink pad, or you can use mist, watercolor paints, anything you want. And I just want to add a little bit of color there. Now some of it will get covered up, and I don't want it to be perfect. I do want it to look like it's brushed on. But this is very simple, very fast. And it usually takes longer for me to get the paint off the desk than it does for the paper to dry. And then I'll go ahead and adhere it to that black chevron background. The background ready, and then I have a 4-inch strip of that black and white print that I want to lay over the top, and this is going to be the grounding for everything else that's going to build on top. So I'm going to add the photo here and then have different embellishments that come away from that and build around that space, but it has that nice solid horizontal element to work with. From here, I know I have 3 elements that are going to be kind of the largest pieces left to go on the page, and everything else will be smaller. One of those is the photo, and I want the photo to go in this corner so that it's evenly spaced on the horizontal band from top to bottom, but over to the side. And then I have a 3x4 card and a 4x6 card that I want to group in here, and this I want to not minimalize, but I want to make this seem a tiny bit smaller and bring this in quite close. So I'm going to have a grouping. I need to put some border elements in here to work with this space, but that's okay. I just want to get an idea for how much space everything's going to take up, because what I want to do is add a little bit more of this color in around this area, but I don't want to put the color on top of these 3 elements. So I just want to block out the space, and that placing them there allows me to have a good idea of where they are, and I can then add a few little droplets to bring in that color. Now, as I'm using several different black and white elements along with my black and white photo, I'm starting to get the same problem that I illustrated before. What would happen if I scrapped a black and white photo on all black and white pattern papers? And that's that it gets very difficult to tell what is the photo and what is embellishment. But there's a really easy way to get around that, and that's just to matte the photo with a contrasting color. So I could use the bright pink to matte the photo, and that would bring your attention to the picture and separate it out from the black and white elements, or I can introduce another color. So I'm going to add in some aqua here with just a simple matte to go around the edge, and that will frame the photo and give you that little bit more attention to a black and white picture. And it does the same thing that a color within a photo would do, except your photo is going to be black and white, but say your photo had this kind of something in the photo had a splash of hot pink or aqua or any bright color, it would capture your attention. Well, the matte will do the same effect. If your photo still feels lost after you've added the colored matte, you can do 2 things really, really easily. Either you can make that matte wider, so you can cut a wider matte that would give you more color around the edge and give that bit of a more dramatic framing. Or you can just cut a second matte that's bigger. So I could cut a contrasting color like the hot pink, make that square bigger than the aqua square, and then I would have another layer of frame bringing your attention to the picture. So you can kind of adjust that depending on how your page is working out and the different elements you've included. Now, I said earlier that I wasn't going to be happy with this little bit of trapped space here, so I'm going to add some hot pink washi tape. And I'm not going to take it across the full border, but underneath the photo. And I think maybe I pulled this card so that the tape runs underneath the card rather than over the top. And I think I'd also like to add a thinner line. So I have some narrow washi tape that's the same color combination, the 2 pinks, but in a stripe rather than a polka dot. It's really handy for layering. Also looks really nice layered on black tape if you're looking at every single chalkboard themed element that's available right now. Now this space in between is much nicer. I want to then work on this as a corner design. I don't want to cover up all of this pattern paper with more large pieces. So I want to bring in a smaller piece that's going to come across here. So I think in this label pack, the slightly longer labels are going to be my best bet. And can add that. I was just checking to make sure that it'll still be obvious this is a heart since one side's gone and I'm covering up more, but I think it's pretty obvious. This gives me a space to layer up some small embellishments here. Now I have room for a title here, and then my journaling can either go at the top or in this space below. I didn't have a great deal of lengthy journaling I wanted to include on this page, just a few little notes. So I've gone for a slightly larger title, but if your story needed more space, you could extend that up to the top of the page, and there's also the potential for a lot more writing to fit at the bottom border. And then I want to go to this little box here to add some dimensional embellishment. I love when things have a little printed frame because you can look at your stash and find other elements that will fit inside that piece. So I'm starting with this frame drawn on the sticker, and then I can add in this little die cut box, which is from Maggie Holmes at Crate Paper, to fit inside there. And then I can figure out other pieces that will fit within that will that have the same color scheme. So that pink and aqua color scheme comes up again in the new Pebbles collection. I can choose a few pieces to layer on top here and add in some pop dots to have some dimension, and then also have some elements that will have a little bit of dimension and texture on their own, like this little bow. So I can just add a few little pieces, but I'm sticking to all those same colors that are already on the layout and just looking for pieces that fit within each other, stack them up, and add in a few little pop dots for a nice little embellishment grouping that's very contained from that original piece, so it's not going to spread out onto the whole layout and overtake your lovely black and white photo. Now I do want to add a little bit of something else that's going to bring your attention toward the picture, and it would be nice to have a little bit of the pink over here. So I've got these stickers from Bella Boulevard, and these kinds of stickers we've seen in several collections, and they fold over, but they have used different words on different sides, and only one side is going to show. So I think if only one side is going to show, might as well cut them into two stickers, and then you can have the design on two different pages, since you wouldn't be repeating the word. And the trick to placing this is that I want to include it over here, but I don't want to make the chalkboard piece illegible. So I just need to figure out where's the best spot, and I think this side's going to be a bit better. Then you can stop and evaluate your page and see if you feel that when you look at the page, your eye goes to the photo, or does it go to other page elements. If it doesn't go to the photo and that's where you want it to go, then add more toward the photo that's something that won't overwhelm but will attract the eye. So maybe a little bit of sparkle around here. I could put 3 little rhinestones underneath the wording here, and that would be something else that would bring your eye to the picture, but it's not like a large element that's going to overwhelm. You just want something that's going to catch your eye. I'm going to leave my page here and call this one finished for this week, and your challenge is certainly a simple one. You need to use a black and white photo on a new project for this particular challenge, upload it to the gallery, and share it with us so we can see everybody's different take on scrapbooking black and white photos, and then you'll have all sorts of different color combinations and examples of what works in a variety of styles. Now, there's something that Glitter Girl also has in store for you, so if you haven't found out about that yet, stay tuned. Yes, we have something new. In addition to Glitter Girl's weekly Wednesday videos, there's also now a self-paced workshop, Glitter Girl's Scrapbooking Survival Guide. Within this album are 42 brand new layouts exclusive to the workshop, which includes 5 chapter PDFs to read and 10 new videos to watch. All of this is only available in the workshop, and you can find it in the store at 2 Peas in a Bucket. Now, self-paced workshops can be purchased at absolutely any time, but if you purchase Glitter Girl's Scrapbooking Survival Guide in the next 7 days, that's by October 2nd, 2013, in case you're watching this later, you'll also receive a bonus, a new and extended Glitter Girl video all about stretching your supplies to plenty of finished scrapbook pages. So don't wait, sign up today for Glitter Girl's Scrapbooking Survival Guide.
Join us next week for the continuing adventures of Glitter Girl and the ongoing mystery of the scrapbooker behind the mask at 2peasinabucket.com.